Hey everybody! Is there anything better than kicking back with a cold one on a hot summer day? I'm making this refreshing and bold ginger beer that everyone's gonna love. So let's get started. I'm making a 4-liter batch of ginger beer today, and you can go ahead and call that a gallon because nothing here has to be super precise. So for my batch, I'm going to start with 8 ounces of fresh ginger. I'm going to use 1/2 cup of sour citrus juice, and that could be all lemon or all lime, or like today, a combination of the two. I've got 2 cups of white sugar, but brown sugar or raw sugar will work just as well. And I'm going to need 1/2 teaspoon of some kind of yeast. And today I've got champagne yeast, but you don't got to be all fancy like that. Regular baking yeast will work just fine. And of course, I've got a secret ingredient, and that's going to be 1 or 2 of these dried red chilies. Now that's not going to be enough to make my ginger beer all hot and spicy, but what it will do is make the spiciness of that ginger linger on the lips just a little bit longer to make my ginger beer stand out. And of course, this is completely optional. So, the first thing I'm going to do is peel and dice up my ginger, and then I'm going to steep that with the sugar and the red chili to make a really strong base for the ginger beer. And to tell you the truth, I don't always peel the ginger. It doesn't really make a ton of difference here because I'm going to strain this out when I'm done anyway. But just to not make anybody mad, I'll peel it today. Now I'm gonna dice this pretty small. So it looks like 8 ounces of fresh diced ginger is just about 1.5 cups. But you could use less than that, or if you're a real gingerhead, go ahead, you could use double that if you want. This is something you can really customize to your own taste. So I've got my 4 liters of water over here, and I'm gonna take a portion of this to make the base or the syrup for the ginger beer. And I'm not gonna bother measuring this out. I'm just gonna pour in around 1 quart of this. I'll add in the sugar, that chili pepper, I'll go ahead and break that in half, that should be plenty, and the ginger. So now I'll bring this up to a boil, then turn it down and simmer that for about 10 minutes, and then I'll just turn off the heat and leave that for a couple hours. That'll give it some time to cool down and really extract a ton of flavor out of that ginger. As this is coming up to temp, you'll want to stir it a little bit to get that sugar completely dissolved. My ginger beer base has cooled down to room temperature, so now it's time to add it back into the rest of the water. And I'm going to strain it through a fine mesh strainer and a little piece of cheesecloth. And this cheesecloth is optional. You really just need to get the big chunks out of there. I'll just squeeze all the juice out of there. Now I've got all the juice squoze out of my ginger here, and you can save this stuff. It's actually pretty nice to snack on, just like this. Or you could use it in some recipes, but that's a different video. Get that down in there. And lastly, that 1/2 teaspoon of yeast. I'll give that a little stir, and I'm going to let this sit here for around 15 minutes to give that yeast a minute to wake up. Then I'll come back and give it a good stir to dissolve that yeast. There we go. Now that's been sitting for 10 or 15 minutes. Give it a really good stir to get that yeast all dissolved and evenly distributed. The easiest and safest way to bottle your ginger beer is to reuse plastic soda bottles, and these 2-liter bottles are really popular for this, and they got a few things going for them. Most importantly, this is flexible, so it's not likely to explode on you in the case of over-fermentation. Also, that flexibility allows you to give this a squeeze and kind of monitor how much fermentation has taken place. When this gets really tight, you'll know that it's nice and carbonated and ready to drink. Also, you can give them the little cap test. Give that a little twist and you get that. And that will also let you know that it's good and gassed up and ready to go. However, I have a big collection of these bale top beer bottles, and I like to use these because it's a good size serving and it looks really cool. So this is what I'm going to be using today. My bale top bottles are all cleaned and sanitized, and I should be able to fill 8 bottles from this batch today. And I'm going to fill these right up to the point where this neck begins to taper in and pinch right here. So I'll stop right at the end of the widest part of the neck. You want to give your ginger beer a stir before you get started, and then periodically as you go to keep that yeast all up into the mix. To make things easier, I'm going to pour them into this cup and then into the bottle. That worked out perfectly. Now we'll just seal these guys up. And we are fermenting. And this is going to be a 2 to 3 day ferment at room temperature. It's summertime right now and my house is very warm, so this is probably going to be closer to 2 days rather than 3. I'll definitely check these after 2 days by popping the top, maybe even taking a little sip of one of these to see how much fermentation has taken place, and at that point I'll decide whether I want to put those in the refrigerator or let them go that extra day. It's also a very good idea to let these ferment in some kind of secondary containment like this tote here. That way, in case of any mishaps or you forget about it or get busy or get drawn away at a crucial time, if there are any accidents, it'll all be contained inside of here. As suspected, due to the warm weather, after only a 2-day ferment, these ginger beers are on and popping. And now it is crucial to get these things chilled down and keep them chilled until you're ready to drink them. These are still alive, fermentation is still going on inside of the bottle, and pressure is continuing to build. And while I've never had one of these green bottles actually explode in the refrigerator, I have had them ferment to the point where you pop them open and the contents just shoot all over the place. So get them chilled, and that's going to slow the fermentation way down, and then just make sure you drink them within around a week. Now let's see how we did. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You know, this is the type of thing that I don't make very often, but every time I do, I kick myself for not making it more often. It's so easy. I think the whole batch cost me around $2.50, and it is refreshing. It's got a spicy snap that claps back. It's absolutely wonderful on its own, but this is going to make really great cocktails. Well, I I hope you give this a try, and I know you're gonna love it. Thanks for watching.